All right, everyone, welcome to another fun episode of the Faithful Visionary Project Lecture Series. Today, we are talking about attitude awareness and imaginal control. And as we get into today's lecture, again, I want y'all to really listen, really listen from the standpoint of the one that you uh, desire to be. In other words, that you already are the man or the woman that you want to be, whatever that goal is, whatever that obstacle is, whatever it is that you have going on. I want you to all already recognize that you're already this person. And in fact, that you're listening to this as a reminder of who you are and how all of this works. So you're not here trying to get anything other than realizations and insights and gold, but you already are the person that you want to be. All right. So we're always going to start off with that premise. Okay. So attitude. According to Google, attitude is described as a settled way of thinking or feeling about something, which is reflected in behavior and even in physical posture. This suggests that our mental state is visible not just in our thoughts, but in our reactions to life. Okay, y'all? So, a question that must be asked is, what is your settled way of thinking about anything? What is your settled way of thinking about anything? How we approach life's challenges, whether with joy and curiosity or despair and despondency, directly influences our experiences. So our attitude, in a way, sets the stage for what we encounter in life. So the things that show up in our life are going to show up in our life regardless of what we are doing or not doing. But our attitude is that settled way of us thinking about whatever is showing up. So if y'all can really consider that, you'll know that your reactions to life, again, are based on your concept of yourself. So if you already are the person that you want to be in life, your attitude would be different than that of one who is wanting to be the ideal version of themselves. So what we want to do is have attitude awareness. We want to have imaginal control. All right. So attitude awareness and imaginal control. This is something that one of my mentors, Lyndall Warden, would say to me all the time. Jerry, this is a game of attitude awareness and imaginal control. And as I'm right now doing my YouTube channel right now, I'm on day 8. And so I'm reading, I've read 8 chapters of The Power of Awareness. And again, once he gets into the nitty-gritty of it, this is really all it boils down to over and over again. Imaginal control, attitude awareness. So that's what we're going to play with. So let's talk about imaginal control. So we're to begin to realize that what we see, we are. Okay? You can what you are seeing is based on who you are being. So um this is a quote from Walter C. Lanyon, I believe in 2 a.m. And he says, begin to realize what we see, we are, is literally and figuratively true. The whole of creation reacts to us by reason of that something within us, which sets the die for its action. The Eskimo cannot stand the heat. The savage cannot bear the cold. And so it goes. You live in a world of your own fashioning. No matter however ignorantly it may be carried on, no matter how far removed from our conscious power to change it, the moment we recognize where the trouble lies, victory is sure and certain. We change our universe, so to speak, and by this very change, we find a changeless universe because the only thing that is being changed is our attitude towards it. So, boom, right back to it with the attitude that we have. So, what we need to do is control our imagination. So, the Eskimo can't stand the heat because it was raised and programmed to have sensitivity towards hot temperatures. Why? Because it was acclimated to cold temperatures. And it says savages here. That was early 1900s, but people who live in the Amazon forest or live on the equatorial line in Africa, like the Congo or something like that. You gonna put those people in Scandinavia or Alaska? Yeah, they're not gonna bold well over there. But if you leave them there long enough, or if they had offspring that was raised there, the offspring would have an easier time being in that situation, and on it goes as it hardens into fact. So when we're having imaginal control, we have to understand that what are you seeing? And what we're seeing isn't what we're talking about on the outside. What are you seeing on the inside? So let's get back, let's get into it. So what we're seeing, okay? What we see on the inside, that's what we get, right? So in my father's house, there are unnumbered mansions. Were it not so, I would have told you. And now I go and prepare a place for you. When I go and prepare the place, I will come again and receive you unto myself, that where I am in imagination, there we together shall be in the flesh. Neville Goddard. So there's a place that's prepared for us wherever you go in your father's mansion. All right. So your father is within you. Seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all these things will be added unto you. So whatever it is that you're seeking, that you want to be, that you want to have, that you want to do, you must first do it within yourself and go and prepare that place and see that it's already done. But that's where the imaginal control comes in. So most of us are imagining that we're out here in this world, when in fact, we're actually on the inside no matter what. Even if we believe we're on the outside, we're still on the inside. So we're always preparing what we don't want and always receiving it out here in this physical world because we keep messing around in the world of echoes. And so we just keep getting feedback, feedback, feedback. So if we can actually prepare the place within that we actually want to go, in other words, already healed, already wealthy, already loved and loving, that then will be outpictured. But you must have the control of your imagination in order to do so. So your attitude is not only essentially not only your settled way of being, it's your settled way of being inside your imagination, which is right now uncontrolled. And thusly you're producing stuff that seems chaotic. So, where are you dwelling? So we can go into our father's mansion and we go to a place and then we go to another place and then we go to another place and we go to another place and we go to another place. But there is a place in our father's mansion that we often go to, that we go to as our resting place, our default place. That place to which one must constantly return, that one most constantly returns, constitutes their dwelling place. So if you return night after night to the feeling of being wanted, being secure, being whatever you want in this world, that becomes a normal, natural dwelling place. So if you can actually make it tonight natural, you'll find yourself returning through the day to the feeling of being wanted or being happy or being whatever you want. So I can't say you can number it once, twice, thrice, or whatnot. It's entirely up to you to make it natural. When it becomes natural so that the mind returns there constantly, that's your dwelling place. And so, as we continue, diving deeper into this work, repetition, saying it over and over again, you get to a place to where you start to realize that, wait a minute, perhaps I don't like being in my dwelling place anymore. And I want to see my dwelling place be someplace completely different. Well, no matter what happened today, as you go to bed tonight, you want to go to bed being the person that you want to be. And you do it night after night, and you disregard what said that you weren't that today. You repeat it over and over again until it feels natural. For all I know, it might be tonight that you fall asleep and it feels natural to you. That's how everything shows up for us anyways. We fall asleep and as something feeling natural, and right now it might be something negative that feels natural to you. And so that's what you end up producing. Again, because most of us focus on the external world as to the cause of reality and why we are the way we are. And so we go to bed with that in mind, and we go to bed with that in mind, and we go to bed with that in mind, and that's what ends up being produced the next day, the next week, the next month, the next year, and so on and so forth. So we're now aware that we need to have attitude awareness and imaginal control. How do we go about doing this? Well, pay attention to those subtle happenings in your mind and in your world. And ask yourself, is this really what I want to continue experiencing? So this quote right here is from one of Neville's lectures, and he's sharing the story of this millionaire or billionaire, can't really remember. And he was talking about how uh, if anybody ever owed him money, he would actually sit down and draft a letter thanking his customer for paying him back in full. And um and believing and feeling that it was done. And then he explained to Neville, he's like, look, I want my customers to be doing well. It behooves me that they have the money, because if they don't have the money, my business doesn't do well. So for me, it's good for me to imagine that my customers pay me on time, that my customers are well off, and that by working with me, their investments and their assets and all these things are doing better. I'm paraphrasing. And I was like, huh. Reading that, I was like, wow, this is wild. My the control of my imagination is so bad that, you know, I've done that. I've done that where I'm like, oh my God, this person owes me money or that person owes me money. And all you're doing is imagining that that person's not doing well. Think about that. So Neville says, how can someone pay you what he doesn't have? So instead of holding him in that limitation, Just lift him out in your mind's eye. I tell you, imagining creates reality. It completely creates reality. What I imagine. If I don't imagine it, well, then he can't give it to me. If I say I knew he wouldn't pay me anyway, all right, he'll never pay me. But if I love him, really love him, and would want him to be successful, well, then let me make him successful. If he is successful, then at least I put him into the state where he is able to, and then take him beyond his ability to pay me and give him the eagerness and the willingness to pay me. Then go beyond it and accept it. Then he gave it to me. So I tell you, this never fails. So what are you imagining? In this case, it's about money. But what about love? The love of your life. What about your health or a friend's health? Do we does someone come to us and say, "Oh, I have diabetes," and then you're thinking to yourself, "Well, it serves you right. Look at all that sugary snacks that you're eating all the time." What are you doing with your imagination when you say something like that to yourself? What are you saying? Whereas with the same amount of energy, with the same amount of thought power, you can just as easily imagine that they're telling you the good news and you're saying, "Man, you've never looked better. I've never seen you sparkle more. I remember when you had diabetes," whatever the imaginal act is, and truly feel it. And how do you feel it? With your attitude. What are you settling for? I hope you're settling for better than the best you know and imagining people better than you found them. So, you guys, I trust that this lecture was meaningful for y'all, and that y'all will be able to apply it. I'm gonna leave y'all, in fact, a way for y'all to apply it. I'm gonna leave y'all with this week. I want y'all to find one person a day that you've you've just accepted that they are a particular way. Doesn't matter. Person who's really close to you or someone who's distant, doesn't really matter. But try to find someone once a day to see and imagine differently for. And just see and have fun with it. Two times, two times a day, three times a day. Think of that person and imagine that they are better than you found them. And by better, different, better than the best you know. So, you guys are awesome. That's it. That's all. Peace and hair grease.